Hi guys, and welcome back to a new video. For this video, I thought it'd be a fun idea to take you guys along with me and show you what I cook for a Thanksgiving dinner. This is my first time. Well, technically it's my second time cooking a Thanksgiving dinner, but it's my first time kind of doing it all by myself. I did have a little bit of help from my mom, so I am slightly nervous on doing this all by myself, but how bad can it go? Okay, so on the menu for our Thanksgiving dinner tonight, we have a brown sugar orange glazed honey ham, buttery mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, some mac and cheese. For dessert, we have a Dutch apple pie, and then we are going to be doing some holiday themed cocktails, cranberry Colin, and a apple cider margarita. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna get started by preheating my oven to 350 degrees, and then we can work on the prep afterwards. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with our honey glazed ham. In a little sauce pot, we are going to turn this up to medium heat. I'll have all exact measurements somewhere on the screen. We're gonna start off by melting some butter in a sauce pot. Melted, we're going to be adding brown sugar. Start mixing that in, break up the clumps. Once you have the butter and sugar combined, I'm going to be adding 1 cup of orange juice. Then we're gonna add about a 1/4 cup of honey. Really, I just eyeball this. If you buy the spiral cut hams from like the store that are already pre-cooked, always come with a little flavor packet. We're gonna use that as well. The next step we are going to do is we are going to slice up some oranges. We're gonna lay underneath our ham and just also provide some extra flavor. You want to lay out your orange slices. Go ahead and place your ham on top of your oranges. Now that it's coming to a simmer, to this we are going to add 1 cup of water, about a tablespoon of chicken bouillon. Whisk this. To season this with a little garlic powder, onion powder, paprika. Whisk again. You're going to let this come to a boil before we start glazing our ham with this. So once your glaze has thickened up, that's when you know it's ready to pour over your ham. So I'm just gonna remove this from the heat. Is nicely coated. We're going to put into the oven to cook at 350 degrees for about 45 minutes, and then we'll broil for the last 10 to 15. This is currently what our ham is looking like. Try to baste it a little bit. However, I don't have a baster, so just with a spoon, I'm going to scoop some of the juices onto the ham. Add a couple of the oranges to the top, and then we're gonna put it back into the oven for about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. We're gonna let this broil. Ham is out of the oven and looking very good. On boiling our potatoes for our mash. I'm going to be using russet potatoes, but really you could use any kind. Wash your potatoes. I haven't mentioned it already. I'm using 5 potatoes. You want to cube your potatoes, making sure they're all the same size. This will help them cook evenly. And add that to a large pot. We're gonna boil them with enough water to cover them up and heavily salted. So our potatoes have come to a rolling boil. Let's check to see if they are fork tender. So now we are going to drain the water from our potatoes and then we're gonna mash them. I'm gonna let these potatoes cool down for a little bit before I get to mashing them. In a sauce pot on medium-low heat, bring to a boil 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. So to that heavy cream, you're going to add thyme and some rosemary. You're also going to want to add some pepper and some garlic. Same pot that we boiled our potatoes, we're now going to mash them. Perfect. We're going to add our heavy cream, but make sure to strain it. Salt and pepper to taste. So I'm gonna do just a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. And your mashed potatoes are ready. We're going to heavily salt the water for our mac and cheese, or I guess for our mac. Our water for our noodles is starting to boil. I have here this 16-ounce rotini pasta. I'm really only going to use about 3/4 of the box. You're gonna wanna let this boil and cook for 8 minutes. You don't wanna overcook your pasta or cook it perfectly because it will continue to cook while it's in the oven. Don't forget to occasionally stir your pasta. Our pasta is done cooking. You wanna make sure you rinse this with cold water to fully stop the cooking process. Rinsed pasta right here waiting for us for our mac and cheese. To a pot, we're going to melt 3 tablespoons of butter again. To our butter, we're going to add a dash of paprika, some garlic powder, salt, and pepper. Toast your spices. To our spices, we're going to add 3 tablespoons of flour, nice and toasty and well incorporated to avoid having that grittiness in your mac and cheese. You're going to add in slowly evaporated milk. Once you've added in your evaporated milk, you're gonna add in about 1.5 cups of heavy whipping cream. And really take your time adding this in. At this point, you wanna go ahead and add in the rest of your seasonings. Some paprika, garlic powder, salt, and pepper. We're gonna add in a splash of Worcestershire sauce, just a little bit. At this point, you wanna turn your heat to low. We're gonna add in half of our cheese. I made sure to shred my cheese last night, so it's one less step I have to do. Add in bits until it's fully melted. Okay, we're gonna put this back on heat and let that melt a little more. If your cheese starts doing this, you can add in a little bit of just regular milk to help thin it out. To this, we're gonna add our pasta. Once you've fully incorporated your pasta, it's time to add to a baking dish. Scoop it all in here. I'm gonna top it off with a little bit of cheese, and then we're gonna put this into the oven. This should bake in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. In a different pot, we are going to melt some butter, and we're gonna get started on our green bean casserole. I know it's tough to see, but we're working with this pot right here for our green bean casserole. To that, we're going to add about 3 tablespoons of butter, and we're going to create what's called a roux. Let that melt. Once your butter has melted, you're going to add about a 1/4 cup of flour, and make sure to really cook this down. The last thing you want to do is have a gritty green bean casserole because you didn't cook your flour long enough. Once it's been a couple of minutes, we're going to add 1/2 cup of milk to our flour and butter mixture. I'm adding it 1/4 of a time and mixing it in. If you still feel like this mixture is too thick, you can always add in another 1/4 of milk. Once that is fully incorporated, we're going to add in one of these Boursin garlic and herb cheese. Add that in, then we'll break it apart. Make sure you have this on medium-low heat. You don't want any of this to burn. When you're working with dairy, it's really easy to burn your milk or your cheeses, so you want to be very patient. To our garlic and herb cheese, we are going to add 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. You can add in some Parmesan cheese or mozzarella cheese as well if you want an extra cheesy casserole. I think I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. Next, we're gonna add a splash of Worcestershire. This is gonna create a nice smoky flavor. You can also do soy sauce in the case that you don't have Worcestershire sauce. We're also gonna be adding a little bit of black pepper to this. You can always add more salt if you like. So for this next part, you can always use fresh green beans that you've boiled and then add in. Honestly, I think frozen green beans works just as well, and that's what we're going to be using today. Okay. Make sure every green bean is nicely coated. Or you can always cook bacon and chop that up and add it. Honestly, I just use pre-made bacon bits. Works completely fine. You're going to add in your crispy onions. We're going to mix that in. I believe this is an 8-inch baking dish. I'm just gonna go ahead and transfer over my green bean casserole. We're gonna top it off with more crispy fried onions. Now we're gonna stick this in our oven at 350 degrees for about 7 to 10 minutes, just until it gets nice and crispy and golden brown. Wonderful. Peel and slice up our apples. I didn't mention this already, I am using Fuji apples for our apple pie. Once we've peeled our apples, we're going to go ahead and slice them. You want to do thin slices like this, and then you want to slice this in half. And this is just going to help create that perfect bite, and it's going to help keep all the apples intact when you slice your pie. Also, we're using a store-bought pie crust. Feel free to make your own if you want, but girl, Who has time for that? Not me. Our apples have been sliced. We're going to be adding a tablespoon of lemon juice. You're gonna need both granulated sugar and brown sugar, half a cup of each. Do a little sprinkle of ground nutmeg, a little sprinkle of cinnamon. We're going to mix all of that in. Once your apples are nicely coated, we can add this to our pie crust. Next, we're gonna work on our crumble topping. 1 cup of all-purpose flour, half a cup of brown sugar, and then 1/3 of a cup of granulated sugar, pinch of salt. You're going to work in a stick of butter. Your oven should be preheating to 375 degrees. Okay guys, our Thanksgiving meal is ready. And I must say, it came out pretty good. It did take a while though. I was not prepared for this to take 3 hours, but what else can I expect? We have our green bean casserole, our mac and cheese, our mashed potatoes, and then our honey glazed ham. But this looks amazing, if I do say so myself. Apple pies are currently baking in the oven. I'm gonna go ahead and plate our food, and then I'll be right back with our holiday cocktail drinks. Okay, so stay tuned. Hey guys, unfortunately there was a casualty. I burned myself while I was taking the ham out of the oven. It's okay though, we're all wrapped up. To be making a cranberry Colin and an apple cider margarita. We'll do the apple cider margarita later though, when the apple pie comes out. So for now, let's just do our cranberry Colin. So what makes a cranberry Colin? What makes a cranberry Collins a cranberry Collins is the type of glass that you use for your drink. Unfortunately, I don't have that specific glass, so we're just gonna go for this tall glass that also works. I also don't have a shot glass, so we're just gonna eyeball all of this. Shot of gin. Then you also want to do equal parts cranberry juice. I've never had gin in my life. So a splash of lemon juice, some ice, and then you're going to top it off with club soda. To garnish, ideally you would have cranberries. You can also use as a garnish a little sprig of thyme or cranberry Collins. Yes, me, this looks nice. Honestly though, pretty good. I'm going to enjoy my dinner that I worked so hard on, and then I'll be back to show you guys the apple pie and then the apple cider margarita. Basically the end of the night. It's only about to be 8 o'clock, but it's time for dessert. And it's time to try our Dutch apple pie. And then I'll also make my apple cider margarita. We'll call it a night after that. How does that sound? Let's go ahead and cut into this apple pie. Mind you, our Thanksgiving dinner was actually really good, but you know, I'm a good cook, so I expected that. So would you look at that? That looks divine. Vanilla ice cream. So this is about to be a Dutch apple pie a la mode. A ton of leftovers. Okay girl. That tastes really good. Onto our apple pie. This is what it looks like. That is absolutely delightful. Let's go ahead and get started with our apple cider margarita. So I didn't have any apple cider, so I made my own, and you can make your own at home. Like you can follow a whole detailed recipe. I kind of just fudged mine a little bit. Used apple juice, seasoned it with some orange slices, a cinnamon stick, and then some nutmeg. And then I brought that to a simmer, poured it into this cup, and then let it chill in the fridge. And we have make-believe apple cider. We are going to make a cinnamon sugar rim, some simple syrup. Take your cup and you're going to just dip it into the simple syrup. This is going to create a sticky substance for your cinnamon sugar. In a different dish, I'm going to pour out a little bit of sugar. You can do brown sugar or just regular granulated sugar. Do a little bit of cinnamon. Mix that up really well. Cup. and then you're gonna dip that in there and create your cinnamon sugar rim. 4 tablespoons of your apple cider, 3 tablespoons tequila, 3/4 of an ounce of orange juice, orange liqueur. We're gonna finish it off with some ice. Have our apple cider margarita. Let's go ahead and try this. Ooh, that definitely tastes like a margarita. Cinnamon sugar rim definitely takes it up a notch. Overall, really good recipe, 10 out of 10. It feels very fall and festive, and I'm definitely starting to feel it now. But yeah, guys, that brings us to the end of our video. Thanks for coming with me as I basically, I'm gonna say it. I prepared my first Thanksgiving meal by myself. I know that there wasn't no turkey. I'm sorry to say this is a turkey-free zone. But all in all, I think I did pretty good. Our food was very delicious. Dessert was absolutely good, and the drinks were 10 out of 10. So good. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for coming along with me. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by leaving a like and a comment. Yeah, I hope you guys had a really great Thanksgiving. Hopefully this gives you ideas for your next Thanksgiving dinner, or perhaps even your Christmas dinner. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!